To marry for love is human, to marry for Spain is divine duty. The cathedral doors open slowly, not with drama, but with deliberation. Stone breathes in cool silence. Cameras remain at a respectful distance. Inside, history waits without impatience. At the center of Spain's constitutional horizon stands Her Royal Highness Leonor de Borbón y Ortiz, Princess of Asturias. An heir, a symbol, a promise carried forward through centuries of recalibration. It sounds like a romantic question. It is not, because in a constitutional monarchy, private vows carry public consequence. Marriage, at this level, is never confined to two individuals. It expands outward, into statecraft, into perception, into the quiet architecture of legitimacy. Spain's crown does not exist in isolation from the democratic order, it stabilizes it. The monarch reigns but does not govern, yet the monarch embodies continuity in a nation shaped by regional complexity and political plurality. This is the living thread of continuity. The heir's future union will not be evaluated by sentiment. It will be evaluated by steadiness, by neutrality, by whether the institution remains recognizably above the friction of politics. And here is the first reframing. The question is not whether she may marry for love. The question is whether love can withstand the weight of the state. Spain's modern monarchy was restored with care. Its legitimacy was rebuilt step by step, through constitutional loyalty, visible restraint, and disciplined silence. That discipline is not decorative. It is defensive. National identity is woven into these rituals. An engagement announcement is not a social update. It is a signal to markets, to parliaments, to allies. London would read it through the lens of its own constitutional choreography. Washington would interpret stability as reassurance within NATO alignment. Ottawa and Canberra, familiar with crown symbolism, would examine tone. Berlin would measure maturity within the European framework. Because monarchy is diplomacy in human form. 5 minutes into this unfolding tension, the question returns. And this time it deepens. A royal spouse becomes part of the constitutional silhouette. Apolitical, composed, unifying. Every past affiliation becomes present scrutiny. Every word spoken in private echoes in public. Not because of gossip, but because symbols are fragile. Continuity is not abstract here, it is embodied in visible presence. Spain's regional identities remain sensitive. Catalonia's history, Basque memory, Andalusian pride, all coexist under one crown. The monarch must belong to all, and therefore appear claimed by none. A future consort cannot tilt perception, cannot suggest alignment with faction or ideology. The margin for error narrows. Yet there is something rarely acknowledged. Modern heirs are expected to appear authentic, to reveal humanity, to marry for affection rather than arrangement. The public celebrates sincerity, until sincerity disrupts symbolism. This is the tension beneath the ceremony. At 8 minutes, a quieter mystery surfaces. How much choice does an heir truly possess? Advisors review compatibility not as romantic counselors, but as guardians of constitutional equilibrium. Backgrounds are assessed for resonance across social strata. Cultural fluency matters. Discretion matters more. The ability to absorb scrutiny without resentment becomes essential. The unspoken truth is this: freedom contracts as destiny expands. Because private vows carry public consequence. At 10 minutes, a subtle strain appears on the horizon. Spain's younger generations evaluate institutions pragmatically. They respect service, but they question inherited privilege. If a royal marriage appears insulated from modern reality, criticism grows. If it appears too modern, too informal, too unstructured, traditionalists retreat. Balance is not decorative, it is survival. The approaching strain is not scandal. It is perception dividing quietly into camps. The United Kingdom understands the volatility of royal unions in a digital age. The United States views personal narratives through the lens of leadership credibility. Germany measures whether constitutional monarchies continue to embody European stability. Canada and Australia, tied historically to the crown, instinctively recognize how personal decisions ripple into institutional trust. Because when the crown moves, the world reads. At 14 minutes, the point of no return forms without announcement. If ever a future monarch's marriage were perceived to prioritize individual fulfillment over constitutional steadiness, even subtly, the narrative would shift. Not collapse, shift. And legitimacy, once shifted, does not fully return to its original position. This is why restraint feels austere. Why appearances are calibrated. Why silence often speaks louder than celebration. Duty outweighs desire. That principle has preserved monarchies across centuries. Not through suppression of emotion, but through elevation of responsibility. The sovereign's household must represent unity in a society that debates everything else. This is the living thread of continuity. And continuity demands foresight. At 19 minutes, a future risk becomes visible. Hyperconnectivity. A spouse today enters not only a palace but an archive. Digital memory is permanent. Every past image, every comment, every association may resurface. The institution cannot control the archive. It can only anticipate it. If misalignment occurs, critics will frame it as evidence of irrelevance. If caution appears excessive, critics will frame it as detachment. Adapt too quickly, and tradition thins. Adapt too slowly, and relevance fades. The crown walks that narrow corridor. Leonor's preparation, military training, constitutional study, disciplined public presence, reinforces seriousness. It signals that Spain's future monarch understands governance, alliance obligations, and symbolic neutrality. Her marriage, when it comes, will be evaluated within that same framework. Not for romance, for resonance. Because in a constitutional monarchy, private vows carry public consequence. The cathedral bells will one day ring. The headlines will travel across Madrid, across London, across Washington, Ottawa, Canberra, Berlin. Commentators will analyze tone. Diplomats will observe body language. Economists may even note the market's quiet reaction. Such is the reach of symbolism. And yet, beneath ceremony, a simple human reality persists. To marry for love is human. To marry for Spain is obligation. The institution does not demand absence of feeling. It demands alignment between feeling and future. The final question lingers, softer now, but heavier. It is not a choice between heart and nation. It is a test of whether the two can coexist without weakening the crown. Somewhere ahead, beyond rehearsed protocol and measured announcements, stands a moment not yet defined. A decision that will reveal whether the institution continues to command quiet confidence, or whether it invites renewed scrutiny. The cathedral doors will close. The cameras will dim. The flags will remain raised. And history, patient as ever, will wait to see whether love strengthens continuity, or tests it. The answer has not yet been written.